Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and there's so much to unpack today as we see massive numbers of people in the streets in the Netherlands against the Orwellian attack on the supply chain as they bring in this insane nitrogen policy and they're getting rid of, they want to, 30% of farms. They've already gotten rid of 3,000 farms, and keep in mind that the Netherlands is the second top agricultural importer in the world. While people are not having the World Economic Forum agenda there right now, this out of Gateway Pundit, it says tens of thousands of Dutch farmers protest in The Hague. Resist much, obey little, they say. And this comes as the military is brought in on the ground as they anticipated a large number of people. Well, it's tens of thousands. And at the same time, we're already seeing this situation get exacerbated in every single way. And this is all by design, of course. This is the natural news. European groceries seeing empty shelves due to worsening food shortages. All the while, Great Britain considers forcing backyard chickens to be registered due to avian flu psyop. And keep in mind that at the same time, the UK is already dealing with rations on many foods in many stores. This is all part of the push for the 15-minute cities, which they're establishing in places like Oxfordshire in England. And it is trying to force people into blind compliance out of desperation when they are starved out at the same time as the economy is going down and the banking system is going down. There's a lot to unpack today. So before we do, make sure to check those links in the description for heavensharvest.com for long-term storable foods that are non-GMO, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, and books on how to get started. Use code WAM, W-A-M, and you get free shipping on much of those products in the U.S. And even if you don't qualify for free shipping or you're not in the U.S., I still urge you to use code WAM because it helps keep you alive and us alive at the same time. They finally have a 1 week kit, which is the best bang for your buck at $109.99. But I always urge people to look at the 3-month combo kit or at least the entry 3-month kit, because we're talking one of the best ideas going forward when we are looking at the collapse of a supply chain. Experts say you need at least 3 months of storable foods. With a combo kit, you get the food, you get the seeds, you get the filtration and the books and everything. It's a really good deal, especially considering the amount of food you're getting out of this. Keep your family, keep yourself, of course, safe in the Great Reset. In order to win this war, we must be prepared, my friends. So check those links in the description. And again, heavensharvest.com, use code WHAM. We also have whamsurvival.com for long-term storable foods as well. Save a bunch of money if you go through us on there. And it's very pertinent to our video today. Let's get into this. Out of Gateway Pundit, tens of thousands of Dutch farmers protest in The Hague. Resist much, obey little. You may remember about a year and a half ago, I was in the Netherlands at the major protests there. 250,000 people are in the streets against the Vax Pass. And now we see this. They are going after the Netherlands hard with 15-minute cities, smart cities, and the destruction of the supply chain, which affects not just the rest of Europe, but the US as well. It says here, tens of thousands of Dutch citizens came out to protest a WEF-inspired campaign against Dutch farmers on Saturday in The Hague under the motto, vote them out. Local elections will be held on Wednesday as the upstart Farmers Party, BBB, looks poised to trounce the ruling party of Rhino Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Now, Mark Rutte is a World Economic Forum golden boy, so keep that in mind. And again, voting isn't the best way to fix a problem. It's like, hey, the guys that the government is organized crime. Maybe if we vote a different head into the organized crime racket, it'll be better. Well, some things might change in minor ways, but at the end of the day, if they had any means to actually help people, they would be assassinated. That's just always been the case historically by the elites. It continues here. It says, the Dutch government has made itself the headquarters of the disastrous World Economic Forum Food Innovations Hub and wants to ban the use of nitrogen and fertilizer, bankrupting thousands of Dutch farmers and expropriating their land, and in some cases, even using that land to house illegal immigrants instead. The Dutch farmers are some of the best farmers in the world. The tiny country of the Netherlands has become the world's second largest agricultural exporter, just behind the United States. The Netherlands are smaller than the state of West Virginia. Now, of course, they've been doing this for a while in order to force the people of the Netherlands into complete compliance. And the Netherlands has always been very rebellious, the people at least. But when they utilize the work of the World Economic Forum to ban fertilizer and all this kind of stuff and expropriating their land, they're laughing in their face. They're purposely stepping on their toes, and they're throwing vinegar in the wounds. It's all part of their agenda. That's why they have the 15-minute city projects going up in Amsterdam. That's why they have these insane rules that they've already shot at a 16-year-old at the previous farm protest, which actually did scare a lot of people inside. But here we are again, and they can't give up on this. Again, the idea is you need to be independent and prepared. Not, that's how you win the war, not by electing other people, though. It says the protest was organized by Dutch Farmers Defense Force and Together for Netherlands, who wanted 5,000 tractors to converge on the capital of The Hague in a show of solidarity. 4 days before the protest, the mayor of The Hague, Jan van Zanen, limited the number of 2 tractors and threatened to call in the army against his own people. Wow. Nonetheless, Saturday's protest was a peaceful, joyous, family-friendly affair. The Dutch and international media completely ignored it or smeared the citizens as far right, proving once again they are the enemy of the people. And, they are really desperate to stop this. We're seeing the same thing in Denmark. We've seen it in Belgium as well. Massive amounts of farmers with their tractors because they're going after the sustenance of mankind. This is all part of their agenda to kill as many people as they can and sacrifice them and sacrifice their humanity. And they've done that as well with the mRNA-infused foods. We've seen this across the board. The burning of factories, the destruction of the energy grid as well, destruction of Nord Stream, destruction of substations, and of course, oil refineries. It says, in a rousing speech, Dutch activist Eva Vlaardingerbroek said, and I quote, "Our country was born out of resistance against tyranny, against Spanish tyranny. Now, almost 5 centuries later, we are again fighting against tyranny, against a corrupt and unjust government that excludes dissidents and drives our farmers from their land. Back then, this injustice came from Madrid. Now it comes from right here, the Dutch capital, Den Haag. And that is the worst kind of injustice. Our government has launched an attack on our own people, on one of the hardest working, most successful and inspiring groups of all, the farmers and citizens of the Netherlands." She always does good speeches. And again, she points out, we feed the world, of course. Well, continues here. It says, for centuries, our farmers have supplied food for millions of people worldwide. And unlike what the liars in the capital are claiming, they do so in a sustainable and responsible manner with great respect for God's creation. But of course, that's not what our government is worried about. Our government doesn't care about nature, about the people or the farmers. Our government has created a lie to drive the farmers from their land. Everything you farmers own, everything you work so hard for your entire lives, they think they can just take it away from you. You want to know what I call them? I call them common thieves. And let me tell you, we do not negotiate with thieves. We do not negotiate with people who abuse our farmers and drive them to despair, who are waging a war against our farmers. And again, they have been going after the livestock as well as agriculture, and also that we could eat the bugs and drink the sewage, as Klaus Schwab says. And they are now pushing at the World Economic Forum, oh, fish are bad for you, chicken's bad for you, eggs are bad for you. What's bad for you is parasitic crickets and vaccines. Continuing on here, it says, unfortunately, it is not just our government, but also the so-called opposition that claim to be fighting for the farmers, but aren't here today to stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves, because if now is not the time to fight back, when is? And I quote, the destruction of our nation and our democracy must stop. You, the Dutch farmers, are the only ones with enough courage and manpower to put up a real fight against our terrible government. You are our last hope, the last hope for our beautiful country. And that's exactly the reason they want you gone. But we will fight them, and they will fight us. They will stop at nothing. And of course, their lackeys in the mainstream media will do everything they can to demonize our farmers and all of us. But we know better. That's why we stand firmly behind our farmers, because we know when they're done with them, we're next. And that's why we will not let this happen. We say no to globalism, no to the sellout of our country, and we say no to this government. Long live the Dutch farmers, she said. Even Elon Musk chimed in, asking Vladimir what rules do you want the government to change? To which she responded, the voice of the people systemically gets ignored with regard to the nitrogen crisis. It only exists on paper. It's a political decision based on faulty models that reveals our government's true agenda to take our farmers' land and to crack down on our constitutional rights. Dutch opposition leader Geert Wilders echoed his famous campaign provocation. Do you want more Moroccans or less? By asking, do you want more Prime Minister Mark Rutte and Finance Minister Sigrid Kaag or less? Prompting roars of laughter from the crowd. And speaking to Callum Smiles of Canada's Rebel News, Wilders said that the real aim is to get rid of our farmers for some leftist nitrogen agenda and to make room for more non-Western immigrants and build houses for them. Well, it's not even that. They are doing this in order to laugh in people's faces and purposely piss people off while they don't actually do anything in response to this. And you got to remember, their main goal is to make people dependent slaves, and getting rid of the farmers, some of the toughest people in the country, is one of the first steps to doing that. Getting rid of the fertilizers, blowing up fertilizer plants, bringing in 15-minute cities, destroying the supply chain. And then it all leads to, on top of inflation and everything else, of course, in the energy grid, then it all leads down to the individual who can't go to the store and buy food because they're not prepared. So because they don't have storable foods, because they don't have seeds, because they can't grow for themselves, they're basically screwed and they're forced to take the food from the government, basically Soylent Green. And this has been the agenda, the modus operandi for a very long time, my friends. And as they call in the military, we have to remember this is already happening. We have grocery stores all over Europe with empty shelves due to a worsening food shortage. When will people wake up? When will people figure out that places like Spain and the Netherlands who are under attack in their agricultural sectors, and at the same time as Nord Stream is blown up by the military industrial complex, they are forcefully pushing people into a system where they will accept things like, smart meters on their homes to tell the government how much gas, electricity, and water they're using, which will determine their carbon credit score, and the new world reserve currency system of BRICS, which will be cashless, where that will determine how much food rations they get, all while they try to register chickens so that they can make sure that no one is sustainable and no one's hiding their sustainability from the state. This is way past Orwellianism. This is into total totalitarianism meant to starve out and kill people or make them compliant slaves. And they've already in the UK started launching a program to pay people with credits, technically, if they don't use their electricity based on, guess what? Smart meters. What have I been saying since the beginning of 2020? And again, this whole purpose is to track and trace everything and make people just a cog in the system in their 15-minute city products where they can't leave their neighborhoods. They're already doing it in China, and it's based on the zero COVID policy in China. Now it's going to be the zero carbon policy worldwide. Do you want to live in a world like that? Well, they're going to get moving on this very fast. They already are, and they've already got it into legislation in so many major cities throughout Europe, and of course, even they're attempting in Canada and the US. So it's already started. How long until people stop saying, oh, you're fear mongering, and say, maybe we should take solutions seriously? If you are in a tribe 1,000 years ago and there's a lion tracking you, you tell the rest of the tribe, hey, there's a lion tracking us. The other people shouldn't be going, oh, well, that's just negative. I don't want to hear about that. So you just are going to ignore the problem? No, you need to know the negative to make positives, and then you can have the solution. But not this problem, reaction, solution, repeat tyranny of the state. We as individuals need to stand up for our humanity, because as human beings, if we on earth here today aren't willing to stand up for our humanity as human beings, then what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Freedom isn't something you hold in your hands. You are free or you're not. No amount of elected office will ever make that more positive. The only thing that'll make this more positive of a situation and prepare you for the future is you as a prevalent, freedom-loving individual standing for your own responsibilities, because faith without work is dead, as the Bible says. We as individuals need to go out and get storable foods. We need to get our money out of the banking system as much as humanly possible and stop waiting for the day where everything comes down, and instead prepare for that day, because being overly prepared is better than being underprepared, my friends, as always. And you all know that. And so when we're witnessing these massive protests, yes, that's a wake-up call, because we're walking hook, line, and sinker, all roads lead to Rome, into this New World Order system of technocracy, the Tower of Babel, if you will, that they are building. So that's a good reason to buy gold and silver. That's a good reason to buy privacy coins. That's a good reason to, actually move into a more sustainable world where we have storable foods and we have seeds and we could grow things ourselves, store water, have these things at our in front of us, these resources. We need them in order to survive what's coming. And again, people go, oh, fear mongering, grifting, whatever they want to call it. But if people listen to me in Buffalo, New York, or in Texas last year, or in Florida last year after the hurricane, for example, and they got this kind of stuff and were serious about getting, backup electricity and serious about getting storable foods, less people would have died in that situation. I tell you this today, please don't look at it as me trying to make money. I barely make anything off of it. The whole idea is to mobilize humanity for the Great Reset so that they can move around the reset as it all comes collapsing down eventually. And then from the ashes of that Tower of Babel, we build our new civilization built based on humanity, freedom, individualism, family, God, all these things that are so important that they are trying to drain us of. They're trying to drain us of our very soul. So as we witness all this stuff, plus the Ohio destruction with the dioxins that are changing DNA, we need to put our foot down and get prepared today. So anyway, we have a whole bunch of options. As I always say, we have heavensharvest.com for long-term storable foods that are non-GMO, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, books on how to get started. Use code WAM, W-A-M, and you get free shipping on much of those products in the U.S. And even if you don't qualify in the U.S. or whatever it might be, or you're outside of the U.S., I still urge you to use code WAM, W-A-M, because it helps keep you alive and us alive at the same time. Experts say you need at least 3 months of food to survive a supply chain crisis, and they are going for broke. They're probably pushing for much more than 3 months here to push everyone into complete compliance. As the banking system's going down, it's never been a better time to buy gold and silver and get into privacy coins as well, like Monero and Epic Cash. In my opinion, not investment advice, but I would say that this is go time. We've seen what's happening with SVB, and we're seeing what happened with Signature Bank, and this is just the beginning of the bailouts and the destruction of the banking system. Your money's not safe in the bank. In fact, if your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's a bank's. So I urge people to check out kirkelliottphd.com/wham and buy gold and silver today physically. You can go to that sign-up sheet. You get a whole bunch of free special reports that are exclusive to you. He's the author of 11 books, double PhD. We're having him on the show right away. In fact, today. And, this is so important because this guy, he's been on InfoWars. He's been on our show a bunch of times. He is giving you an option to have these services where you can actually liquidate your IRA, 401k, 403b, checking, savings, and brokerage accounts into physical gold and silver. And there's a whole bunch of other services that you can get with him too. So all you have to do is go to that sign-up sheet, put in your name, put in your email, put in your time, their schedule for a call, and talk with him today. So check that link in the description, kirkelliottphd.com/wham. We also have a link for ClearPhone. If you care about privacy, we're talking about a smartphone where it doesn't track and trace you. It's got Linux. It's de-Googled. In this case, you have full national coverage. It's faster than an Android. It doesn't send all your information to the Chinese government to be later used in a social credit score system. So this thing, you get to hold your own private keys. Check that link in the description for ClearPhone and get one of these smartphones today. You can get all your different apps on it. It's really cool, but you're not tracked and traced. Also for health, because this is going to be drying up pretty soon, probably considering the way the world's going, I urge people to check out rncstore.com, Richardson Nutritional Center, your source for Laetrile online, made famous by G. Edward Griffin's book, World Without Cancer. Get your apricot seeds, Laetrile, amygdalin, and vitamin B17 there. And finally, there's a link in the description for the late great Dr. Zelenko's vitamins and supplements, Z-Stack, Z-Stack Kids, Z-Detox, and Z-Flu. High levels of vitamins that you won't find in your average vitamin store. Go and check that link in the description. You save money if you go through us, and you get free shipping. So all that is linked below. There's no excuses, my friends. We have solutions. It's just about you guys going out and doing something about it. Anyway, I'm trying to raise money to go to Taiwan right now to report on the historic issue over there and tell the truth, while the mainstream media tries to, of course, cover that up with the China-Taiwan situation, which is involving the U.S. and Russia. So I urge people, if you want to help support us, go to gogetfunding.com, Patreon, Subscribestar. We have a bunch of ways you can help support us. We also have a Bitcoin address and a Cointree link with a bunch of different cryptocurrencies that you could donate in. if you please, including privacy coins. The crypto markets are booming right now, and it's important to get into privacy coins, in my opinion. We have an Epic Fund Me campaign where you could donate an Epic Cash, a privacy coin based on the Mimblewimble protocol. And of course, we have a Teespring store where you can get a bunch of merchandise. We're on Rockfin at World Alternative Media with exclusive content from time to time. And again, we have so many different other options down there. But if you want to join our newsletter, it's www.iamband.com. It takes 2 seconds to sign up with email. It's all linked in the description. You can find us on Telegram at World Alternative Media, Telegram channel, World Alternative Media Announcements. We're on Band.video, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Brighteon at World Alternative Media. We're on Hive, Steemit, and Vigilante.tv at Josh Sigurdson. And we're on the Bad Guys, TikTok and Instagram, World Alternative Media, and Twitter and Getter at World Alt Media. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms like Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Anyways, I appreciate everyone watching. Hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. And live by example, my friends. This is our time to shine as we build a bright new civilization. We get to write the history books, not the elite psychopaths. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.